Question 1. In Maryland, which of the following statements best describes the principle of utmost good faith in insurance contracts? A. Both parties to the contract must act honestly and not withhold critical information. B. Only the insurer is required to act in good faith and disclose all information. C. The principle only applies when the policy is first issued, not during its term. D. The principle allows the insurer to void the contract at any time if they suspect fraud. Correct answer A. Both parties to the contract must act honestly and not withhold critical information. Explanation. The principle of utmost good faith, Uberima fides, is a fundamental doctrine in insurance contracts requiring both the insurer and the insured to act honestly and disclose all relevant information. This principle ensures transparency and trust, preventing either party from withholding material facts that could affect the terms or validity of the insurance contract. In Maryland, as in other states, this principle is crucial for maintaining the integrity of insurance transactions. Question 2. A homeowner in Maryland has a standard HO3 policy. Which of the following perils is not covered under the coverage? C. Personal property section. A. Fire. B. Theft. C. Earthquake. D. Vandalism. Correct answer. C. Earthquake. Explanation. An HO3 policy is a special form homeowners insurance policy that provides all-risk coverage for the dwelling and named perils coverage for personal property. While coverage C includes many perils such as fire, theft, and vandalism, it does not automatically include coverage for earthquakes. Earthquake coverage typically requires an additional endorsement or separate policy in Maryland and other states. Question 3. Scenario: Ms. Thompson lives in Maryland and has a personal auto policy PAP with uninsured and or insured motorist coverage. Part C. She is involved in an accident where the at-fault driver has insufficient insurance to cover her medical expenses and vehicle damage. What should Ms. Thompson do to ensure her costs are covered? A. File a claim under her liability coverage. Part A. B. File a claim under her medical payments coverage. Part B. C. File a claim under her uninsured and or insured motorist coverage. Part C. D. File a claim under her coverage for damage to your auto. Part D. Correct answer. C. File a claim under her uninsured and or insured motorist coverage. Part C. Explanation. In this scenario, Ms. Thompson should file a claim under her uninsured and or insured motorist coverage. Part C. This coverage is specifically designed to protect policyholders when they are involved in accidents with drivers who either have no insurance or insufficient insurance to cover the damages. This part of the policy will help cover her medical expenses and vehicle damage, ensuring she is adequately compensated despite the at-fault driver's lack of sufficient coverage. Question 4. Which of the following coverages is typically included in a personal umbrella policy in Maryland? A. Physical damage to the insured's vehicle. B. Liability coverage exceeding underlying policy limits. C. Medical payments for the insured. D. Coverage for earthquake damage. Correct answer. B. Liability coverage exceeding underlying policy limits. Explanation. A personal umbrella policy provides additional liability coverage that exceeds the limits of the insured's underlying policies, such as auto or homeowners insurance. It is designed to protect the insured from significant claims and lawsuits, offering higher limits and broader coverage. This policy does not cover physical damage to the insured's property or vehicles, medical payments for the insured, or earthquake damage unless specifically endorsed. Question 5. Mr. Thompson, a resident of Maryland, has a personal auto policy PAP with uninsured and or insured motorist coverage. He is involved in an accident where the at-fault driver has no insurance. Which part of his policy will respond to this claim? A. Liability coverage, Part A. B. Medical payments coverage, Part B. C. Uninsured and or insured motorist coverage, Part C. D. Coverage for damage to your auto, Part D. Correct answer. C. Uninsured and or insured motorist coverage. Part C. Explanation. Uninsured under insured motorist coverage. Part C in a personal auto policy provides protection when the insured is involved in an accident with a driver who has no insurance or insufficient insurance to cover the damages. In this case, Mr. Thompson's uninsured under insured motorist coverage will respond to the claim, covering his medical expenses, lost wages, and other related costs. Question 6. Scenario: MS Ramirez, who lives in Maryland, has a homeowner's insurance policy HO3. During a thunderstorm, a tree falls and damages her detached garage. Which coverage part of her policy is most likely to cover the repair costs for the garage? A. Coverage dwelling. B. Coverage B. Other structures. C. Coverage C. Personal property. D. Coverage D. Loss of use. Correct answer: B. Coverage B. Other structures. Explanation: Coverage B. Other structures in a homeowner's insurance policy covers structures that are not attached to the main dwelling, such as detached garages, sheds, and fences. In this scenario, the damage to MS Ramirez's detached garage caused by the falling tree would be covered under Coverage B, which would pay for the repair costs. Coverage pertains to the main dwelling. Coverage C covers personal property, and Coverage D provides for additional living expenses if the home becomes uninhabitable. Question 7. In Maryland, which of the following is an exclusion under the coverage for damage to your auto Part D in a personal auto policy? A. Collision damage. B. Theft of the vehicle. C. Wear and tear. D. Vandalism. Correct answer: C. Wear and tear. Explanation: Coverage for damage to your auto Part D in a personal auto policy includes collision and comprehensive coverages, which protect against various risks such as collision damage, theft, and vandalism. However, wear and tear, mechanical breakdown, and other forms of gradual deterioration are typically excluded from coverage. This exclusion ensures that the insurance policy only covers sudden and accidental damage, not the natural depreciation of the vehicle over time. Question 8. Scenario: Mr. Johnson, a resident of Maryland, has a dwelling policy DP3 on a rental property he owns. A fire severely damages the kitchen, making the property uninhabitable. Which coverage part of his DP3 policy will compensate for the lost rental income while the property is being repaired? A. Coverage for dwelling. B. Coverage B. Other structures. C. Coverage C. Personal property. D. Coverage D. Fair rental value. Correct answer: D. Coverage D. Fair rental value. Explanation: Coverage D. Fair rental value in a dwelling policy DP3 provides compensation for the loss of rental income if the rental property becomes uninhabitable due to a covered peril, such as a fire. This coverage ensures that Mr. Johnson receives the fair rental value of the property during the repair period, helping to mitigate the financial impact of the loss of income. Coverage pertains to the dwelling itself. Coverage B covers other structures on the property, and Coverage C applies to personal property within the rental unit. Question 9. Under Maryland law, which of the following practices is considered an unfair trade practice in insurance? A. Offering discounts to policyholders. B. Misrepresenting policy terms. C. Providing prompt claim settlements. D. Advertising insurance products. Correct answer: B. Misrepresenting policy terms. Explanation: Misrepresenting policy terms is considered an unfair trade practice in insurance under Maryland law. This practice involves providing false or misleading information about the terms, benefits, or conditions of an insurance policy, which can deceive or harm consumers. Unfair trade practices are prohibited to ensure transparency and fairness in the insurance market. Offering discounts, providing prompt claim settlements, and advertising insurance products are legitimate practices as long as they comply with regulatory guidelines and ethical standards. Question 10. Which of the following is a key characteristic of a personal umbrella policy in Maryland? A. It only covers bodily injury. B. It provides excess liability coverage beyond underlying policies. C. It does not require self-insured retention. D. It replaces underlying auto and home policies. Correct answer: B. It provides excess liability coverage beyond underlying policies. Explanation: The personal umbrella policy (PUP) provides excess liability coverage beyond the limits of the insured's underlying policies, such as auto and homeowners insurance. This type of policy offers an additional layer of protection, helping to cover substantial claims or lawsuits that exceed the limits of primary insurance policies. Umbrella policies typically require self-insured retention similar to a deductible and do not replace underlying policies, but rather supplement them to provide broader coverage. Question 11. Scenario: Ms. Davis, a resident of Maryland, owns a home covered under an HO3 policy. During a winter storm, a tree falls and damages her roof, causing water to enter the attic and damage personal belongings stored there. Which coverage parts of her homeowner's policy will respond to this claim? A. Coverage was dwelling, and coverage C. Personal property. B. Coverage B. Other structures, and coverage D. Loss of use. C. Coverage C. Personal property, and coverage E. Personal liability. D. Coverage D. Loss of use, and coverage F. Medical payments to others. Correct answer: A. Coverage was dwelling, and coverage C. Personal property. Explanation: the HO3 homeowners policy provides broad coverage for the dwelling and personal property. Coverage was dwelling will respond to the physical damage to the structure of the home, such as the roof. Coverage C. Personal property will cover the damage to personal belongings stored in the attic. These coverages ensure that both the structural repairs and the replacement or repair of personal items are addressed after a covered peril, such as a winter storm. Question 12. In Maryland, which of the following is typically excluded from coverage under a standard flood insurance policy through the National Flood Insurance Program (NFIP)? A. Building property. B. Personal property. C. Increased cost of compliance. D. Financial loss due to business interruption. Correct answer: D. Financial loss due to business interruption. Explanation: a standard flood insurance policy through the National Flood Insurance Program (NFIP) covers building property, personal property, and increased cost of compliance, among other things. However, it typically excludes coverage for financial losses due to business interruption. Business interruption coverage is designed to compensate for lost income when a business is unable to operate due to a covered peril, but this type of coverage is generally not included in standard NFIP policies and would require a separate endorsement or policy. Question 13. Which of the following perils is typically covered under a standard HO3 homeowners policy in Maryland? A. Earthquake. B. Flood. C. Theft. D. War. Correct answer: C. Theft. Explanation: a standard HO3 homeowners policy provides coverage for a wide range of perils under coverage C. Personal property, including theft. However, it generally excludes perils such as earthquake, flood, and war, which require separate policies or endorsements for coverage. Theft coverage is essential for protecting personal property against losses due to burglary or similar criminal activities. Question 14. Scenario: Mr. Roberts, who lives in Maryland, has a personal auto policy (PAP) with liability coverage Part A and uninsured underinsured motorist coverage Part C. If Mr. Roberts is involved in an accident where the at-fault driver is uninsured, which coverage will respond to Mr. Roberts' bodily injury and property damage claims? A. Liability coverage Part A. B. Uninsured underinsured motorist coverage Part C. C. Medical payments coverage Part B. D. Coverage for damage to your auto Part D. Correct answer: B. Uninsured underinsured motorist coverage Part C. Explanation: in this scenario, Mr. Roberts' uninsured underinsured motorist coverage Part C will respond to his bodily injury and property damage claims if the at-fault driver is uninsured. This coverage is designed to protect policyholders when they are involved in accidents with drivers who do not have insurance or have insufficient insurance to cover the damages. Liability coverage Part A covers damages Mr. Roberts may cause to others, not his own damages. Medical payments coverage Part B provides limited coverage for medical expenses regardless of fault, and coverage for damage to your auto Part D covers physical damage to Mr. Roberts' vehicle. Question 15. Which of the following is a common exclusion in a personal articles floater policy in Maryland? A. Accidental loss. B. Theft. C. Wear and tear. D. Mysterious disappearance. Correct answer: C. Wear and tear. Explanation: A personal articles floater policy typically provides coverage for valuable personal property against a wide range of perils, including accidental loss, theft, and mysterious disappearance. However, wear and tear is a common exclusion in such policies. Insurance policies generally do not cover losses or damages resulting from the gradual deterioration or normal aging of the insured items, as these are considered maintenance issues rather than sudden and accidental losses. Question 16. Which type of inland marine insurance policy is specifically designed to cover valuable personal property, such as jewelry and fine art, in Maryland? A. Personal effects coverage. B. Personal articles floater. C. Personal property floater. D. Homeowners insurance. Correct answer. B. Personal articles floater. Explanation. A personal articles floater is specifically designed to cover valuable personal property such as jewelry, fine art, and other high-value items. It provides broader coverage than a standard homeowner's insurance policy and typically includes protection against a wide range of perils. Personal effects coverage and personal property floater are other types of inland marine policies, but they do not offer the specialized protection for high-value items that a personal articles floater provides. Homeowners insurance offers some coverage for personal property, but it may not be sufficient for items of significant value. Question 17. Scenario: Ms. Thompson, a resident of Maryland, has an H3 homeowners policy. After a severe storm, a tree falls on her detached garage, causing significant damage. Which coverage under her policy will apply to the repairs of the detached garage? A. Coverage dwelling. B. Coverage B. Other structures. C. Coverage C. Personal property. D. Coverage D. Loss of use. Correct answer. B. Coverage B. Other structures. Explanation. Under an H3 homeowners policy, coverage B. Other structures applies to structures on the insured property that are not attached to the main dwelling, such as a detached garage. This coverage provides protection for damage caused by covered perils, including severe storms. Coverage dwelling pertains to the main house. Coverage C. Personal property covers personal belongings. And coverage D. Loss of use provides reimbursement for additional living expenses if the home becomes uninhabitable due to a covered loss. Question 18. In Maryland, which of the following is an exclusion typically found in a standard personal auto policy (PAP) under liability coverage? Part A. Damage to someone else's property. B. Injuries caused to other people. C. Damage to the insured's own vehicle. D. Medical expenses for the insured. Correct answer. C. Damage to the insured's own vehicle. Explanation. Under liability coverage, Part A of a standard personal auto policy (PAP), the policy covers damages to someone else's property and injuries caused to other people in an accident where the insured is at fault. However, it does not cover damage to the insured's own vehicle. Coverage for the insured's own vehicle is provided under coverage for damage to your auto, Part D. Medical expenses for the insured may be covered under medical payments coverage, Part B, or personal injury protection, PIP, depending on the policy and state regulations. Question 19. Which endorsement would be used to extend the coverage of a standard homeowners insurance policy to include coverage for water damage from sewer backup in Maryland? A. Water backup and sump overflow endorsement. B. Personal articles floater. C. Equipment breakdown endorsement. D. Earthquake endorsement. Correct answer: A. Water backup and sump overflow endorsement. Explanation. The water backup and sump overflow endorsement is used to extend coverage for damage caused by sewer backup or sump pump overflow, which is not typically covered under a standard homeowners insurance policy. This endorsement specifically addresses water damage issues that arise from these sources. The personal articles floater provides coverage for valuable personal items. The equipment breakdown endorsement covers mechanical failures, and the earthquake endorsement covers damage from earthquakes, none of which address water backup or sump overflow. Question 20. Scenario: Mr. Lee has a personal umbrella policy in Maryland with a $1 million limit. He is found liable for an accident where the damages amount to $950,000. His underlying auto insurance has a limit of $500,000. How much will Mr. Lee's personal umbrella policy cover? A. $450,000, B. $950,000, C. $500,000, D. $1 million. Correct answer A. $450,000. Explanation. In this scenario, Mr. Lee's underlying auto insurance policy will cover $500,000 of the damages. The remaining amount of the claim, which is $950,000, $500,000 equals $450,000, will be covered by his personal umbrella policy up to its limit. The personal umbrella policy provides excess coverage beyond the limits of underlying policies. It does not cover the entire amount of the claim if the total exceeds the umbrella policy limit. Question 21. What principle ensures that an insurance policy will not provide coverage for more than the actual loss suffered by the insured and is applied in Maryland? A. Principle of utmost good faith. B. Principle of indemnity. C. Principle of insurable interest. D. Principle of risk management. Correct answer B. Principle of indemnity. Explanation. The principle of indemnity ensures that an insurance policy will not pay out more than the actual loss suffered by the insured. It is designed to make the insured financially whole after a loss without providing a profit. This principle prevents the insured from receiving more than the amount of their loss, which would be considered unjust enrichment. The principle of utmost good faith requires both parties to act honestly. The principle of insurable interest requires that the insured have a financial stake in the property or person insured, and the principle of risk management involves identifying and managing risks to minimize loss. Question 22. Which of the following statements is true regarding the coverage provided by the personal auto policy PAP in Maryland for damage to a vehicle that was hit by an uninsured motorist? A. The uninsured motorist coverage in the PAP will cover damages to the vehicle regardless of who was at fault. B. The uninsured motorist coverage only applies if the uninsured motorist is determined to be at fault for the accident. C. Uninsured motorist coverage does not cover damage to the insured's vehicle, only bodily injury claims. D. The personal auto policy excludes coverage for damage caused by uninsured motorist under all circumstances. Correct answer B. The uninsured motorist coverage only applies if the uninsured motorist is determined to be at fault for the accident. Explanation. In a personal auto policy PAP, uninsured motorist coverage in Maryland will only apply if the uninsured motorist is determined to be at fault for the accident. This coverage typically provides protection for bodily injury, but may not cover property damage to the insured's vehicle unless specified by an endorsement. Therefore, the coverage for vehicle damage caused by an uninsured motorist would depend on whether the uninsured motorist is found at fault and the specific terms of the policy. Question 23. Which type of homeowners insurance policy in Maryland would provide the broadest coverage for personal property? A. HO1, B. HO2, C. HO3, D. height. Correct answer C. HO3. Explanation. The HO3 homeowners insurance policy provides the broadest coverage for personal property among the listed policy types. It is an open peril or war risk policy for personal property, meaning it covers a wide range of risks and perils except those specifically excluded in the policy. In contrast, HO1 and HO2 provide more limited named peril coverage, and HO8 is typically used for older homes and offers a more restricted scope of coverage. Question 24. Scenario: MS. Davis has a dwelling policy DPA 2 in Maryland on a rental property that suffers a fire. The policy has a $10,000 limit for fair rental value. The fire causes the property to be uninhabitable for 3 months, and the lost rental income amounts to $12,000. How much will MS. Davis's policy cover for the fair rental value? A. $10,000, B. $12,000, C. $2,000, D. $0. Correct answer A. $10,000. Explanation. The DPA 2 dwelling policy covers fair rental value up to the policy limit, which in this case is $10,000. Even though the actual lost rental income is $12,000, the policy will only cover up to its stated limit of $10,000. The policy limit for fair rental value is a fixed amount, and the coverage provided will not exceed this limit regardless of the total loss. Question 25. In a personal umbrella policy in Maryland, what is the typical function of the self-insured retention amount? A. It is the amount the insurer will deduct from the total settlement amount before paying any claims. B. It is the amount the policyholder must pay out of pocket before the umbrella policy coverage kicks in. C. It is the amount by which the umbrella policy will increase the coverage limits of the underlying policies. D. It is the amount the policyholder receives as a deductible refund for each claim filed. Correct answer: B is the amount the policyholder must pay out of pocket before the umbrella policy coverage kicks in. Explanation: the self-insured retention is the amount that the policyholder must pay out of pocket before the personal umbrella policy in Maryland provides coverage. The SIR acts as a deductible for the umbrella policy. Once the policyholder has paid this amount, the umbrella policy will cover amounts above this retention up to the policy limits. This provision ensures that the policyholder retains some level of financial responsibility before the umbrella policy contributes to the loss. Question 26. Which coverage is NOT typically included in a standard homeowners insurance policy HO3 in Maryland? A. Damage from earthquakes. B. Personal liability protection. C. Coverage for other structures on the property. D. Loss of use coverage. Correct answer: A. Damage from earthquakes. Explanation: a standard homeowners insurance policy HO3 typically includes coverage for personal liability protection, coverage for other structures on the property, and loss of use coverage. However, coverage for damage from earthquakes is generally not included in standard policies and requires a separate endorsement or policy. Earthquake insurance is specifically designed to cover damages resulting from seismic activity and must be purchased separately. Question 27. Scenario: Mr. Thompson has a personal auto policy PAP in Maryland and is involved in an accident where his vehicle is damaged by a hit-and-run driver. The police are unable to identify the driver. What coverage under his PAP would help Mr. Thompson with the damages to his vehicle? A. Collision coverage. B. Uninsured motorist coverage. C. Comprehensive coverage. D. Medical payments coverage. Correct answer: A. Collision coverage. Explanation: in the scenario where Mr. Thompson's vehicle is damaged by a hit-and-run driver and the driver cannot be identified, collision coverage would help with the damages to his vehicle. Collision coverage pays for damage to the insured vehicle resulting from a collision with another vehicle or object, regardless of fault. Uninsured motorist coverage typically covers bodily injury and may not apply to property damage in this case, while comprehensive coverage deals with non-collision related damages, e.g., theft, vandalism. Medical payments coverage covers medical expenses for injuries sustained by the insured and passengers, not vehicle damage. Question 28. Which of the following is a primary difference between a dwelling policy DEPA 2 and a dwelling policy DEPA 3 in Maryland? A. DEPA 2 provides coverage for all types of perils, whereas DEPA 3 covers only named perils. B. DEPA 2 offers coverage for risks of direct physical loss, while DEPA 3 covers only specific named perils. C. DEPA 2 provides coverage for the dwelling and other structures, while DEPA 3 covers only the dwelling. D. DEPA 2 includes coverage for personal property, whereas DEPA 3 does not. Correct answer: B. DEPA 2 offers coverage for risks of direct physical loss, while DEPA 3 covers only specific named perils. Explanation: the primary difference between DEPA 2 broad form and DEPA 3 special form is in the perils covered. DEPA 2 provides coverage for a broad range of risks known as named perils, including fire, lightning, windstorm, and more. In contrast, DEPA 3 provides open perils or all risks coverage for the dwelling, meaning it covers all risks of direct physical loss unless specifically excluded. DEPA 3 typically offers broader protection for the dwelling compared to DEPA 2, which is more limited. Question 29. In Maryland, which type of coverage would you purchase to protect personal items such as jewelry, cameras, and fine art, which are often subject to special conditions and limitations under a standard homeowners insurance policy? A. Flood insurance. B. Inland marine insurance. C. Personal liability insurance. D. Earthquake insurance. Correct answer: B. Inland marine insurance. Explanation: Inland marine insurance is specifically designed to provide coverage for valuable personal property such as jewelry, cameras, fine art, and other items that may have limited coverage under a standard homeowner's insurance policy. It offers broader protection and can be tailored to cover items that are often excluded or limited in standard homeowners policies. Flood insurance and earthquake insurance cover different types of risks, while personal liability insurance covers liability exposures rather than property. Question 30. Scenario: Ms. Lee has a personal umbrella policy in Maryland. She is sued for damages following a car accident that resulted in significant property damage and personal injury. Her underlying auto insurance policy covers up to $300,000, but the court awards $500,000 in damages. What amount will Ms. Lee's personal umbrella policy cover? A. $200,000, B. $300,000, C. $500,000, D. $0. Correct answer A. $200,000. Explanation: in this scenario, Ms. Lee's personal umbrella policy would cover the amount exceeding her underlying auto insurance limits. Since her auto insurance covers $300,000 and the total damages awarded are $500,000, the umbrella policy would cover the difference of $200,000. The personal umbrella policy provides excess liability coverage above the limits of underlying policies such as auto or homeowners insurance. Question 31. Which of the following is NOT typically covered under a standard personal auto policy (PAP) in Maryland? A. Liability for damage to other people's property. B. Medical payments for injuries to the insured while driving. C. Loss of use for a rental car while the insured's vehicle is being repaired. D. Damage to the insured's vehicle from a flood. Correct answer: D. Damage to the insured's vehicle from a flood. Explanation: a standard personal auto policy (PAP) typically provides liability coverage for damages to others and medical payments for injuries sustained by the insured. It also covers loss of use for rental cars if the insured's vehicle is in the shop due to a covered loss. However, damage to the insured's vehicle from a flood is generally not covered under a standard PAP. This type of damage is usually covered under a separate flood insurance policy or might be included in comprehensive coverage depending on the policy specifics. Question 32. Which of the following endorsements would you most likely use to extend the coverage for personal property located outside of the residence premises under a homeowner's insurance policy in Maryland? A. Personal articles floater. B. Flood endorsement. C. Earthquake endorsement. D. Identity theft protection endorsement. Correct answer A. Personal articles floater. Explanation: a personal articles floater endorsement is designed to extend coverage for personal property that is located outside of the residence premises, such as jewelry, furs, or valuable collections. This endorsement provides broader protection than a standard homeowner's insurance policy, which often has limitations on personal property coverage outside the home. Flood and earthquake endorsements provide coverage for specific perils, while identity theft protection covers different types of risks. Question 33. Scenario: Mr. Thompson has recently purchased a personal umbrella policy in Maryland with a $1 million limit. He was involved in an accident where he was found at fault and his auto liability coverage has been exhausted after paying out $500,000 in damages. If the court awards $1,200,000 in total damages, how much will Mr. Thompson's personal umbrella policy cover? A. $200,000. B. $500,000. C. $700,000. D. $1 million. Correct answer: C. $700,000. Explanation: Mr. Thompson's personal umbrella policy will cover the amount exceeding his auto insurance limits up to the umbrella policy's limit. His auto insurance has paid $500,000 and the total damages awarded are $1,200,000, leaving a gap of $700,000. Since his umbrella policy limit is $1 million, it will cover the $700,000 difference between the auto insurance payout and the total damages within the umbrella policy's limit. Question 34. In Maryland, which of the following is a primary function of the insurance commissioner? A. To set insurance rates for all types of insurance policies. B. To enforce insurance regulations and protect consumer interests. C. To provide insurance coverage for high-risk individuals. D. To underwrite policies and determine policy terms for insurers. Correct answer. B. To enforce insurance regulations and protect consumer interests. Explanation. The primary function of the Insurance Commissioner is to enforce insurance regulations and protect consumer interests. The Insurance Commissioner oversees the insurance market, ensures compliance with state laws, and handles consumer complaints. Setting insurance rates and underwriting policies are responsibilities of insurers themselves, while providing insurance coverage for high-risk individuals is not. A typical role of the Insurance Commissioner. Question 35. Which of the following scenarios would be covered under a typical dwelling policy DPA 2 in Maryland? A. Vandalism after a property has been vacant for more than 30 days. B. Water damage from a burst pipe. C. Earthquake damage to the dwelling. D. Flood damage to the structure. Correct answer. B. Water damage from a burst pipe. Explanation. The dwelling policy DPA 2 typically covers water damage from a burst pipe as it is included under the policy's broad form perils. However, vandalism is generally not covered if the property has been vacant for more than 30 days. Earthquake damage requires specific earthquake endorsements, and flood damage is not covered under standard dwelling policies but requires a separate flood insurance policy. Question 36. Scenario MS. Carter has a homeowner's insurance policy in Maryland with a $100,000 limit for personal property. She recently purchased new furniture and artwork valued at $15,000. If a fire damages her home and personal property amounting to $20,000, how much will MS Carter's policy cover for the damaged personal property? A. $15,000. B. $20,000. C. $100,000. D. $85,000. Correct answer. B. $20,000. Explanation. MS. Carter's homeowner's insurance policy will cover up to the limit for personal property, which is $100,000. Since the total value of the damaged personal property is $20,000 and it does not exceed her policy limit, the policy will cover the full amount of $20,000. The $15,000 value of new furniture and artwork is included in the total damage amount but does not affect the payout as long as it does not exceed the policy limit. Question 37. Which of the following is a key feature of personal umbrella insurance in Maryland? A. It provides additional coverage for property damage claims only. B. It offers coverage for claims that exceed the limits of underlying policies. C. It is mandatory for all drivers in Maryland. D. It includes coverage for pre-existing conditions in health insurance. Correct answer. B. It offers coverage for claims that exceed the limits of underlying policies. Explanation. Personal umbrella insurance is designed to offer additional coverage above the limits of underlying policies such as auto and homeowners insurance. It provides extra liability protection in the event that claims exceed the limits of those policies. It is not mandatory for drivers, does not cover pre-existing health conditions, and does not focus solely on property damage. Question 38. Which type of homeowners insurance policy in Maryland provides the broadest coverage for a homeowner? A. HO1, B. HO2, C. HO3, D. height. Correct answer. C. HO3. Explanation. The HO3 policy is the most comprehensive type of homeowners insurance policy, providing open perils coverage for the dwelling, coverage A, and named perils coverage for personal property, coverage C. This means it covers all perils except those specifically excluded, making it broader than HO1, HO2, or height policies. HO1 offers the most limited coverage, while height is designed for older homes with unique coverage needs. Question 39. Scenario. Mr. Thompson has a personal auto policy PAP in Maryland with a $250,000 liability limit per person and $500,000 per accident. He's involved in an accident where his liability for bodily injury is $300,000 per person and $600,000 per accident. How much will his policy cover for bodily injury? A. $250,000 per person and $500,000 per accident. B. $300,000 per person and $600,000 per accident. C. $250,000 per person and $600,000 per accident. D. $300,000 per person and $500,000 per accident. Correct answer A. $250,000 per person and $500,000 per accident. Explanation. The personal auto policy (PAP) liability coverage in this scenario is limited to the policy's stated limits of $250,000 per person and $500,000 per accident, even though the total liability is $300,000 per person and $600,000 per accident. The policy will only cover up to its limits. The remaining amount will need to be covered by the insured or through other means. Question 40. Which of the following endorsements on a homeowner's insurance policy in Maryland would provide coverage for valuable items such as jewelry or fine art? A. Personal property replacement cost endorsement. B. Scheduled personal property endorsement. C. Ordinance or law endorsement. D. Water backup endorsement. Correct answer B. Scheduled personal property endorsement. Explanation. A scheduled personal property endorsement allows homeowners to specifically list and insure valuable items such as jewelry, fine art, or collectibles for higher amounts than the standard policy limit. This endorsement provides broader coverage and higher limits for these items, which are often subject to limited coverage under a standard homeowner's insurance policy. Question 41. What is the primary purpose of the self-insured retention ECA personal umbrella policy? A. To reduce the premium cost of the umbrella policy. B. To cover the deductible of underlying policies. C. To require the insured to pay a specified amount before the umbrella policy coverage kicks in. D. To provide coverage for uninsured drivers. Correct answer C. To require the insured to pay a specified amount before the umbrella policy coverage kicks in. Explanation. The self-insured retention is the amount that the insured must pay out of pocket before the personal umbrella policy will provide coverage. It acts as a deductible that must be satisfied before the umbrella policy will start to cover additional liability claims. It does not directly impact the premium cost, cover underlying policy deductibles, or provide coverage for uninsured drivers. Question 42. Scenario: MS. Davis has a Hoffrey homeowners insurance policy in Maryland with coverages set at $200,000. During a severe storm, a tree falls on her home, causing $50,000 in damage. How much will her policy cover if her deductible is $1,000? A. $49,000. B. $50,000. C. $199,000. D. $1,000. Correct answer A. $49,000. Explanation. With an Hoffrey policy and a $1,000 deductible MS, Davis will need to pay the first $1,000 of the $50,000 damage. Therefore, her policy will cover the remaining amount, which is $50,000. $1,000 equals $49,000. The deductible reduces the amount the insurance company will pay out on the claim. Question 43. In the context of a personal auto policy (PAP), which of the following situations would typically be covered under Part D? Coverage for damage to your auto. A. Theft of personal items from the vehicle. B. Damage caused by a vandal to the vehicle's windows. C. Medical expenses for injuries to the driver in an accident. D. Damage to another driver's vehicle in a collision. Correct answer B. Damage caused by a vandal to the vehicle's windows. Explanation. Part D of a personal auto policy covers physical damage to the insured's own vehicle, including damage caused by vandalism. Coverage for damage to another driver's vehicle or medical expenses for the driver are covered under different parts of the policy, such as poor liability coverage for the former and Part B medical payments coverage for the latter. Question 44. Which principle of insurance requires that the insured has a financial interest in the property being insured? A. Principle of indemnity. B. Principle of utmost good faith. C. Principle of insurable interest. D. Principle of risk management. Correct answer C. Principle of insurable interest. Explanation. The principle of insurable interest requires that the insured must have a financial stake in the property or life being insured. This principle ensures that the insured has a legitimate reason to protect the asset, preventing speculative insurance and moral hazard. It is fundamental to the validity of an insurance contract. Question 45. Scenario. Mr. Allen's home in Maryland is insured under a standard Hothry homeowners insurance policy. After a recent power outage, his freezer malfunctioned and resulted in $2,000 worth of spoiled food. His policy includes coverage for spoilage of perishable food. How much will the policy likely cover for the spoiled food if the policy limit for this coverage is $1,500? A. $1,500. B. $2,000. C. $500. D. $0. Correct answer A. $1,500. Explanation. Homeowners policies with coverage for spoilage of perishable food have specific limits. In this case, Mr. Allen's policy covers up to $1,500 for spoiled food. Although the total loss is $2,000, the coverage limit will only reimburse up to $1,500, making this the maximum amount payable for the loss. Question 46. Under a personal umbrella policy, which of the following scenarios would most likely be excluded from coverage? A. An auto accident where the insured is found liable for damages exceeding their auto liability limit. B. A lawsuit for libel resulting from a social media post made by the insured. C. A claim for damages from a fire that originated from the insured's property and spread to a neighboring property. D. Injuries sustained by a guest who falls while visiting the insured's home. Correct answer. C. A claim for damages from a fire that originated from the insured's property and spread to a neighboring property. Explanation. Personal umbrella policies typically provide excess liability coverage beyond the limits of underlying policies like auto or homeowners insurance. However, they often exclude coverage for certain types of claims, such as those related to property damage originating from the insured's property. Such claims are usually covered under the primary property insurance policies rather than the umbrella policy. Question 47. What is the primary purpose of the National Flood Insurance Program (NFIP) in the context of flood insurance? A. To provide insurance coverage for flood damage to automobiles. B. To ensure that all homeowners have mandatory flood insurance regardless of location. C. To offer flood insurance to property owners in communities that participate in the NFIP. D. To eliminate all flood-related risks to property through government intervention. Correct answer. C. To offer flood insurance to property owners in communities that participate in the NFIP. Explanation. The NFIP provides flood insurance to property owners in participating communities to help mitigate the financial impact of flood damage. It does not cover autos, nor does it mandate universal insurance regardless of flood risk. The NFIP aims to provide affordable flood insurance options and promote floodplain management practices to reduce flood risk. Question 14. Scenario MS. Carter has a dwelling policy DEPA 2 broad form for her rental property in Maine. A storm causes significant wind damage to the roof, leading to a partial collapse. The policy includes coverage for windstorm damage. What type of coverage will most likely apply to repair the roof? A. Coverage A. Dwelling. B. Coverage B. Other structures. C. Coverage C. Personal property. D. Coverage D. Fair rental value. Correct answer A. Coverage A. Dwelling. Explanation. In a dwelling policy DEPA 2, coverage A provides protection for the dwelling itself, including damage from windstorms. Coverage B applies to other structures on the property. Coverage C covers personal property, and coverage D is for fair rental value loss. Since the damage to the roof is part of the dwelling, coverage A will be utilized for repairs. Question 49. Which of the following statements accurately describes the principle of indemnity in insurance? A. Ensures that the insured will receive a payment equal to their estimated future earnings loss. B. It requires that the insured should be restored to the same financial position they were in before the loss occurred. C. It allows the insured to receive payments exceeding the amount of the actual loss to cover additional expenses. D. It provides compensation to the insured for punitive damages awarded in a lawsuit. Correct answer. B. It requires that the insured should be restored to the same financial position they were in before the loss occurred. Explanation: the principle of indemnity aims to restore the insured to the same financial position they were in before the loss occurred, without allowing them to profit from the insurance claim. This principle ensures that compensation is based on the actual loss, avoiding overcompensation or undercompensation. Question 50. In a scenario where an insured's personal auto policy includes an endorsement for towing and labor costs, what type of expense does this endorsement typically cover? A. Costs for repairing a vehicle at a repair shop after an accident. B. Charges for towing the vehicle to a repair facility following a breakdown. C. Medical expenses incurred by the driver and passengers in the vehicle. D. Costs for replacing the vehicle if it is declared a total loss. Correct answer. B. Charges for towing the vehicle to a repair facility following a breakdown. Explanation: the towing and labor costs endorsement typically covers expenses related to towing the vehicle to a repair facility and any labor costs incurred at the site of the breakdown. It does not cover repair costs at a repair shop, medical expenses, or vehicle replacement. Question 51. Scenario: Mr. Thompson's home insurance policy in Maryland includes coverage for personal property with a special endorsement for high-value items. After burglary, he discovers that several high-value items, including jewelry, were stolen. What should Mr. Thompson verify about his policy coverage? A. That the deductible for high-value items is higher than for other personal property. B. That the coverage limit for high-value items is sufficient to cover the value of the stolen items. C. That the policy covers only theft of items from the home and not from other locations. D. That the high-value items are covered under a separate flood insurance policy. Correct answer. B. That the coverage limit for high-value items is sufficient to cover the value of the stolen items. Explanation: for high-value items such as jewelry, a special endorsement may increase the coverage limit beyond the standard personal property limit. Mr. Thompson should verify that this coverage limit is adequate to cover the value of the stolen items. Deductibles and specific policy coverage details, including coverage for theft, should also be reviewed, but the primary concern is ensuring the coverage limit is sufficient. Question 52. Which of the following is true regarding the other structures coverage in a standard homeowner's policy? Hothery. A. It provides coverage for structures on the insured's property that are used for business purposes. B. It includes coverage for structures that are rented to others, such as a garage or shed. C. It covers structures on the property that are not attached to the dwelling, such as a detached garage or fence. D. It provides coverage for damage to the insured's personal property while it is away from the residence premises. Correct answer. C. It covers structures on the property that are not attached to the dwelling, such as a detached garage or fence. Explanation: other structures coverage. Coverage B in an Hothery policy provides protection for structures on the insured's property that are not attached to the main dwelling, such as detached garages, fences, and sheds. It does not cover structures used for business purposes or rented to others, nor does it cover personal property away from the residence. Question 53. In the context of a personal auto policy PAP, what is typically covered under uninsured motorist coverage? A. Damage to the insured's vehicle caused by a hit-and-run driver. B. Medical expenses for injuries sustained by the insured in an accident with an underinsured driver. C. Property damage to the insured's vehicle in an accident where the at-fault driver has insufficient insurance. D. Compensation for lost wages due to an accident with a driver who has no insurance. Correct answer: A. Damage to the insured's vehicle caused by a hit-and-run driver. Explanation: uninsured motorist coverage typically provides protection if the insured is involved in an accident with a driver who has no insurance, uninsured motorist, or cannot be identified hit-and-run. It generally covers bodily injury rather than property damage or lost wages. Coverage for property damage by an underinsured driver would usually fall under underinsured motorist coverage. Question 54. Scenario: Ms. Martinez's home in Maryland is severely damaged by a windstorm. Her homeowner's policy has a standard deductible of $1,000. However, her policy includes a special endorsement for windstorm damage with a 2% deductible of the insured value of the home. What should Ms. Martinez calculate to determine her deductible amount? A. $1,000 as per the standard deductible. B. 2% of the insured value of the home. C. 2% of the amount of loss caused by the windstorm. D. A combination of the standard deductible and 2% of the insured value. Correct answer. B. 2% of the insured value of the home. Explanation: when an endorsement changes the deductible for specific types of damage, such as windstorm damage, it typically means that the deductible is based on a percentage of the insured value of the home. In this case, Ms. Martinez should calculate 2% of the insured value of the home to determine her deductible amount for the windstorm damage. The standard deductible does not apply to this specific type of loss. Question 55. Which of the following accurately describes the personal articles floater in inland marine insurance? A. It provides coverage for items such as fine art and jewelry while they are stored in the insured's home only. B. It offers broad coverage for specific high-value items, including those that are often excluded from standard homeowners policies. C. It covers loss or damage to personal property when it is being transported to a new location. D. It extends coverage to personal property while traveling outside the United States, but only for up to 30 days. Correct answer. B. It offers broad coverage for specific high-value items, including those that are often excluded from standard homeowners policies. Explanation: the personal articles floater is an inland marine insurance policy that provides broad coverage for specific high-value items such as fine art, jewelry, and collectibles. This coverage typically includes risks not covered by standard homeowners policies, such as accidental loss or mysterious disappearance, and is effective whether the items are at home or away. Question 56. Under Maryland law, which of the following is a requirement for an insurance agent to maintain a license to sell personal lines insurance? A. Completion of at least 24 hours of continuing education every 2 years. B. A valid license from any state in the U.S., as Maryland honors all out-of-state licenses. C. Submission of a background check report every 5 years. D. A minimum of 1 year of experience working in the insurance industry. Correct answer: A. Completion of at least 24 hours of continuing education every 2 years. Explanation: in Maryland, insurance agents are required to complete at least 24 hours of continuing education every 2 years to maintain their license. This requirement ensures that agents stay current with industry changes and regulations. Holding a valid license from another state, submitting background checks, or having specific industry experience are not substitutes for this continuing education requirement. Question 57 scenario. Mr. Thompson has a standard dwelling policy DPA 3 in Maine for his rental property. A fire causes extensive damage to the building and he has to relocate his tenants temporarily. What type of coverage should Mr. Thompson look for in his policy to cover the cost of lost rental income during the repairs? A. Coverage dwelling. B. Coverage B. Other structures. C. Coverage D. Fair rental value. D. Coverage E. Additional living expense. Correct answer: C. Coverage D. Fair rental value. Explanation: coverage D. Fair rental value under dwelling policy DP3 provides compensation for loss of rental income when a covered loss, such as a fire, causes damage to the rental property and makes it uninhabitable. This coverage helps offset the loss of rental income during the period of repairs. Coverage E. Additional living expense is typically applicable to homeowners policies and not rental property policies. Question 50. Which of the following is true about uninsured motorist coverage under a personal auto policy PAP in Maryland? A. It provides coverage for damages caused by a driver who is not carrying liability insurance and is also underinsured. B. It covers damages to the insured's vehicle if the at-fault driver has insufficient coverage to pay for the damages. C. It only provides coverage for bodily injury to the insured caused by an uninsured driver, not for property damage. D. It covers damages to the insured's vehicle regardless of whether the at-fault driver is uninsured or underinsured. Correct answer: A. It provides coverage for damages caused by a driver who is not carrying liability insurance and is also underinsured. Explanation: Uninsured motorist coverage under a personal auto policy (PAP) provides coverage for damages when the insured is involved in an accident with a driver who does not have liability insurance. It also applies in cases where the at-fault driver is underinsured, meaning their coverage is insufficient to cover the damages. This coverage can include both bodily injury and property damage, depending on the specifics of the policy. Question 59. In Maryland, what is the primary purpose of the personal liability insurance provided under a homeowner's policy? A. To cover damage to the insured's property from perils like fire or theft. B. To protect the insured from legal liability for bodily injury or property damage caused to others. C. To reimburse the insured for additional living expenses incurred due to property damage. D. To provide coverage for the insured's personal property while traveling outside of the United States. Correct answer. B. To protect the insured from legal liability for bodily injury or property damage caused to others. Explanation. Personal liability insurance under a homeowner's policy is designed to protect the insured from financial loss if they are legally liable for bodily injury or property damage to others. This coverage helps with legal defense costs and settlements or judgment awarded against the insured. It does not cover damage to the insured's own property or expenses related to living arrangements during repairs. Question 60. Scenario. Mrs. Davis has recently purchased a new boat and is considering adding a watercraft insurance policy. She is particularly concerned about coverage for accidents that occur while her boat is docked at her home. Which coverage option should Mrs. Davis focus on to address this concern? A. Medical payments coverage. B. Liability coverage. C. Uninsured boaters coverage. D. Physical damage coverage. Correct answer. D. Physical damage coverage. Explanation. Physical damage coverage under a watercraft insurance policy would address concerns about accidents that occur while the boat is docked at Mrs. Davis's home. This coverage typically includes damage to the boat itself from perils such as collisions, vandalism, or weather-related incidents. Liability coverage would address damages caused to others, while medical payments coverage and uninsured boaters coverage are for medical costs and coverage in case of accidents with uninsured boaters, respectively. Correct answer. D. Physical damage coverage. Explanation. Physical damage coverage under a watercraft insurance policy would address concerns about accidents that occur while the boat is docked at Mrs. Davis's home. This coverage typically includes damage to the boat itself from perils such as collisions, vandalism, or weather-related incidents. Liability coverage would address damages caused to others, while medical payments coverage and uninsured boaters coverage are for medical costs and coverage in case of accidents with uninsured boaters, respectively. Correct answer. C. Theft. Explanation. The dwelling policy DEPA 2, also known as the broad form, provides coverage for a range of perils, including theft, which is not covered under the DEPA 1 basic form. The DEPA 2 includes coverage for perils like fire, windstorm, hail, explosion, and vandalism, among others. Earthquake and flood are typically excluded from the DEPA 2 and would require separate policies or endorsements, wherein tear is considered maintenance-related damage and is not covered under any dwelling policy. Question 62. Which of the following best describes the self-insured retention feature of a personal umbrella policy in Maryland? A. Is the amount the insured must pay before the umbrella policy coverage kicks in. B. It is the maximum amount the umbrella policy will cover for any single claim. C. It is the amount of coverage provided for personal property damage under the umbrella policy. D. It refers to the amount of coverage provided for legal defense costs only. Correct answer. A. It is the amount the insured must pay before the umbrella policy coverage kicks in. Explanation. Self-insured retention, sir, is the amount of loss or damage that the insured must pay out of pocket before the personal umbrella policy provides coverage. It acts as a deductible for the umbrella policy, meaning that the umbrella policy only covers amounts that exceed this retention. This feature ensures that the insured retains some level of responsibility for their own losses before the umbrella coverage applies. The other options do not accurately describe the concept of SIR. Question 63. Scenario. Mr. Johnson is reviewing his homeowner's insurance policy and notices a provision for loss of use coverage. He is concerned about how this coverage might assist him if his home becomes uninhabitable due to a fire. What does the loss of use coverage typically cover in this situation? A. Replacement cost of damaged personal property. B. Costs related to temporary living arrangements and additional expenses. C. Repair costs for the damaged structure of the home. D. Liability for injuries to guests caused by the fire. Correct answer. B. Costs related to temporary living arrangements and additional expenses. Explanation. Loss of use coverage, also known as additional living expenses (IL) coverage, is designed to cover the costs associated with temporarily living away from home and any additional expenses incurred due to the property being uninhabitable, such as hotel bills and increased food costs. This coverage helps the insured manage the financial burden while their home is being repaired or rebuilt. It does not cover the replacement cost of personal property, structural repair costs, or liability for injuries. Question 64. In Maryland, if a homeowner's insurance policy includes an endorsement for earthquake coverage, what typically is true about the deductible for this coverage? A. It is a flat amount per occurrence regardless of the damage. B. It is a percentage of the home's total value or coverage amount. C. It is a fixed percentage of the insured value of the earthquake coverage. D. It is automatically waived if the homeowner has a separate flood policy. Correct answer. B. It is a percentage of the home's total value or coverage amount. Explanation. Earthquake coverage usually has a deductible that is a percentage of the coverage limit for the property. This deductible is calculated based on the insured value of the property or the total coverage amount rather than a flat dollar amount. The percentage can vary by insurer and policy, but it is important to understand how it is applied as it can significantly impact the amount the policyholder would need to pay out of pocket before coverage kicks in. Flood policies and earthquake policies are separate, and having one does not waive the deductible on the other. Question 65. Which of the following statements best describes the purpose of the medical payments to others coverage in a homeowner's insurance policy in Maryland? A. Covers legal fees if the homeowner is sued for damages to someone else's property. B. Provides reimbursement for medical expenses incurred by others due to an accident on the insured's property regardless of fault. C. Covers the costs associated with repairing or replacing the homeowner's personal property damaged by others. D. Covers the cost of emergency medical treatment for the insured's own injuries. Correct answer. B. Provides reimbursement for medical expenses incurred by others due to an accident on the insured's property regardless of fault. Explanation. Medical payments to others coverage is designed to pay for reasonable medical expenses incurred by individuals who are injured on the insured's property regardless of fault. It provides coverage for medical expenses such as hospital visits and other medical treatments for injuries that occur on the premises. This coverage is intended to cover minor injuries and help avoid potential lawsuits. It does not cover legal fees for property damage or repairs to the insured's personal property. Question 66. Scenario MS. Lee has a personal auto policy (PAP) in Maryland and is involved in an accident with an uninsured motorist. She has uninsured motorist coverage under her policy. What should MS. Lee expect her uninsured motorist coverage to provide in this situation? A. Coverage for the damage to her vehicle and medical expenses, but not for injuries to other passengers. B. Coverage for both the damage to her vehicle and her medical expenses, but not for property damage to other vehicles involved. C. Coverage for her medical expenses and any damages to her vehicle, but only up to the policy limit for bodily injury. D. Coverage for the repair of her vehicle and medical expenses for her and her passengers, but excludes damages caused to other vehicles. Correct answer. C. Coverage for her medical expenses and any damages to her vehicle, but only up to the policy limit for bodily injury. Explanation. Uninsured motorist coverage is designed to cover damages and medical expenses if the insured is involved in an accident with an uninsured motorist. This coverage typically includes compensation for bodily injury and may also cover property damage, depending on the policy. However, the coverage is subject to the policy limits, which means that the insurance company will pay up to the limit specified in the policy for bodily injury. For damages to other vehicles or additional expenses beyond the limit, MS. Lee may need to seek additional coverage or take legal action. Question 67. In Maryland, under a homeowner's insurance policy, which of the following typically represents the loss of use coverage? A. Compensation for damages to personal property due to a covered peril. B. Payment for additional living expenses incurred when the insured's home becomes uninhabitable due to a covered loss. C. Coverage for the cost of legal defense if the homeowner is sued for damages. D. Reimbursement for medical expenses of guests injured on the property. Correct answer: B. Payment for additional living expenses incurred when the insured's home becomes uninhabitable due to a covered loss. Explanation: a loss of use coverage, also known as additional living expenses (L), is a component of homeowners insurance that provides compensation for the extra costs incurred when the insured's home becomes uninhabitable due to a covered peril. This can include expenses for temporary housing, increased food costs, and other necessary living expenses while repairs are made. It does not cover damages to personal property, legal defense costs, or medical expenses for guests. Question 68. Which of the following is a primary feature of personal umbrella policies in Maryland? A. They provide primary coverage for personal auto liability. B. They extend coverage beyond the limits of underlying policies such as auto and homeowners insurance. C. They cover losses due to earthquakes and floods as standard inclusions. D. They only provide coverage for damages to rented property. Correct answer: B. They extend coverage beyond the limits of underlying policies such as auto and homeowners insurance. Explanation: personal umbrella policies are designed to provide additional liability coverage beyond the limits of underlying policies such as auto and homeowners insurance. They offer an extra layer of protection against large liability claims and lawsuits. Umbrella policies do not typically cover specific perils like earthquakes or floods, which are usually covered under separate policies. Additionally, these policies are not limited to damages to rented property. Question 69. Scenario: Mr. Thompson recently purchased a new boat and is considering adding watercraft insurance to his policy. He is unsure about what types of coverage are typically included in a standard watercraft insurance policy in Maryland. What should Mr. Thompson expect to find? A. Coverage for physical damage to the boat and its equipment, but not for liability related to boating accidents. B. Liability coverage for injuries and property damage caused to others, as well as physical damage to the boat and its equipment. C. Only coverage for physical damage to the boat, excluding liability for injuries to others. D. Coverage limited to damage caused by weather-related events only. Correct answer: B. Liability coverage for injuries and property damage caused to others, as well as physical damage to the boat and its equipment. Explanation: watercraft insurance generally provides coverage for both liability and physical damage. Liability coverage helps protect against claims for bodily injury and property damage caused to others while operating the boat. Physical damage coverage protects against damage to the boat itself and its equipment. This type of insurance does not typically limit coverage to weather-related events only and is not exclusive to physical damage or liability separately. Question 70. In Maryland, what is the primary purpose of inland marine insurance for personal property? A. To cover damage to personal property due to natural disasters such as earthquakes and floods. B. To provide coverage for personal property that is frequently moved or transported, such as jewelry or fine art. C. To insure against damage to property located at a fixed location, like a home or office. D. To offer coverage exclusively for watercraft and boating equipment. Correct answer: B. To provide coverage for personal property that is frequently moved or transported, such as jewelry or fine art. Explanation: inland marine insurance is designed to cover personal property that is often moved or transported, including items like jewelry, fine art, and collectibles. This type of insurance is ideal for items that may not be adequately covered by standard homeowners insurance policies due to their mobile nature. It does not primarily cover natural disasters or property fixed in one location, nor is it limited to watercraft or boating equipment. Question 71. Which principle in insurance ensures that an insured cannot recover more than their actual loss? A. Utmost good faith. B. Indemnity. C. Insurable interest. D. Subrogation. Correct answer: B. Indemnity. Explanation: the principle of indemnity ensures that an insured is compensated for their loss but cannot recover more than the actual loss suffered. This principle is fundamental in insurance as it aims to restore the insured to the same financial position they were in before the loss occurred, without allowing them to profit from the insurance claim. Our most good faith refers to the obligation to disclose all material facts. Insurable interest is the requirement to have a financial stake in the insured property. Subrogation involves the insurer's right to pursue recovery from third parties responsible for the loss. Question 72. Scenario MS. Roberts has a homeowner's insurance policy in Maryland that includes a standard endorsement for personal property. She recently discovered that her policy does not cover damage to her antique collection while in transit. What type of policy might MS. Roberts consider to better protect her antiques? A. An inland marine insurance policy. B. A flood insurance policy. C. A personal umbrella policy. D. An earthquake insurance policy. Correct answer A. An inland marine insurance policy. Explanation. Inland marine insurance is specifically designed to cover personal property that is frequently moved or transported, such as antiques, jewelry, and collectibles. This type of policy provides coverage that standard homeowners insurance policies typically do not cover when property is in transit. Flood insurance covers damage from flooding, personal umbrella policies extend liability coverage, and earthquake insurance is for earthquake-related damage, none of which would address the need for coverage during the movement of valuable personal property. Question 73. In Maryland, which coverage part of a personal auto policy PAP provides protection for injuries sustained by the policyholder and passengers in their vehicle regardless of fault? A. Liability coverage. B. Medical payments coverage. C. Uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage. D. Coverage for damage to your auto. Correct answer. B. Medical payments coverage. Explanation. Medical payments coverage in a personal auto policy PAP provides protection for medical expenses resulting from injuries sustained by the policyholder and passengers in the insured vehicle regardless of fault. This coverage helps pay for medical bills, hospital visits, and related expenses. Liability coverage addresses bodily injury and property damage caused to others, but uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage protects against damages caused by drivers who do not have sufficient insurance. Coverage for damage to your auto covers physical damage to the policyholder's vehicle. Question 74. Under Maryland's homeowners insurance policies, which of the following endorsements would typically extend coverage for high-value personal items like fine art and collectibles? A. Replacement cost endorsement. B. Scheduled personal property endorsement. C. Personal liability endorsement. D. Loss of use endorsement. Correct answer. B. Scheduled personal property endorsement. Explanation. The scheduled personal property endorsement extends coverage for high-value personal items such as fine art, jewelry, and collectibles. This endorsement allows policyholders to specify and provide additional coverage limits for these valuable items, which are often excluded or have limited coverage under a standard homeowner's insurance policy. Replacement cost endorsements adjust for the replacement value of covered property, personal liability endorsements address liability risks, and loss of use endorsements cover expenses if the home becomes uninhabitable. Question 75. Scenario. Mr. Thompson, who lives in Maryland, is considering purchasing a personal umbrella policy to enhance his existing liability coverage. Which of the following scenarios would most likely justify the need for this additional coverage? A. Mr. Thompson's home has an updated roof and does not have any recent claims. B. Mr. Thompson has recently acquired valuable art that he wants to ensure is covered under his homeowner's insurance. C. Mr. Thompson is concerned about potential liability claims exceeding his current auto and homeowner's policy limits. D. Mr. Thompson is planning to increase his coverage for flood-related damage to his home. Correct answer. C. Mr. Thompson is concerned about potential liability claims exceeding his current auto and homeowner's policy limits. Explanation. A personal umbrella policy provides additional liability coverage above and beyond the limits of existing auto and homeowners insurance policies. It is particularly useful for protecting against large liability claims or lawsuits that may exceed the limits of the primary policies. It does not specifically cover valuable items or flood-related damage, which would be addressed by other types of insurance or endorsements. Question 76. Which of the following is an example of an exclusion typically found in a Maryland homeowner's insurance policy? A. Theft of personal property. B. Damage from earthquakes. C. Fire damage to the dwelling. D. Liability for accidents on the property. Correct answer. B. Damage from earthquakes. Explanation. In most Maryland homeowners insurance policies, damage from earthquakes is excluded and would require a separate earthquake insurance policy for coverage. Homeowners policies generally cover theft, fire damage, and liability for accidents on the property. Exclusions are specific situations or types of damage that are not covered by the policy and are often listed in the policy documents or as endorsements that can be added if needed. Question 77. In Maryland, what principle underpins the idea that an insurance policy should compensate the insured for their loss, but not allow them to profit from the loss? A. Principle of utmost good faith. B. Principle of indemnity. C. Principle of insurable interest. D. Principle of subrogation. Correct answer. B. Principle of indemnity. Explanation. The principle of indemnity ensures that an insurance policy compensates the insured for their loss to the extent of the loss suffered without allowing them to profit from the claim. This principle maintains that the goal of insurance is to restore the policyholder to their pre-loss financial position, not to provide a financial gain. Utmost good faith requires both parties to act honestly and disclose all relevant information. Insurable interest is the requirement that the insured must have a financial interest in the property. Subrogation allows the insurer to pursue recovery from a third party responsible for the loss. Question 78. Scenario in this. Lee, a resident of Maryland, has a personal auto policy with coverage for uninsured motorist bodily injury. She is involved in an accident with a driver who has insufficient insurance to cover her medical expenses. What should Ms. Lee do to ensure she receives compensation for her injuries? A. File a claim with her health insurance provider for medical expenses. B. Seek additional coverage through a personal umbrella policy for the difference. C. File a claim under her uninsured motorist coverage in her personal auto policy. D. Request a settlement from the other driver's insurer directly. Correct answer. C. File a claim under her uninsured motorist coverage in her personal auto policy. Explanation. Uninsured motorist coverage provides compensation for injuries sustained by the insured when the at-fault driver does not have sufficient insurance to cover the damages. Ms. Lee should file a claim under her uninsured motorist coverage to cover her medical expenses and other related costs. Filing a claim with her health insurance provider might help with immediate expenses, but it will not cover the difference from the insufficient coverage. A personal umbrella policy might not be applicable if the primary auto policy coverage is sufficient, and directly requesting a settlement from the other driver's insurer is unlikely to be effective if the driver is underinsured. Question 79. Which of the following scenarios would most likely be covered under a personal umbrella policy in Maryland? A. A minor car accident where the insured is at fault and the damages are fully covered by the personal auto policy. B. Damage to personal property from a severe windstorm, which is covered under the homeowner's insurance policy. C. A lawsuit for defamation resulting from a personal social media post exceeding the liability limits of the homeowner's insurance policy. D. Medical expenses incurred from a routine medical procedure that is covered by health insurance. Correct answer. C. A lawsuit for defamation resulting from a personal social media post exceeding the liability limits of the homeowner's insurance policy. Explanation. A personal umbrella policy provides additional liability coverage above and beyond the limits of the insured's existing policies, such as auto or homeowners insurance. It typically covers a wide range of liability issues, including defamation, libel, or slander, which are not usually covered by standard homeowners insurance policies. The other options listed are either covered by existing policies or unrelated to the scope of a personal umbrella policy. Question 80. Under Maryland's flood insurance policy, which of the following would be covered under the building, property coverage. A. Personal belongings in her basement. B. Replacement of a lost family heirloom. C. Damage to the structure of the home, including walls and floors. D. Additional living expenses incurred while the home is uninhabitable. Correct answer. C. Damage to the structure of the home, including walls and floors. Explanation. Building property coverage under flood insurance policy includes damage to the physical structure of the home, such as walls, floors, and the foundation. Personal belongings are typically covered under the personal property coverage, while additional living expenses would be covered under increased cost of compliance or additional living expenses provisions. Replacement of a family heirloom may not be covered unless it falls under specific personal property coverage provisions. Question 81. Scenario: Mr. Smith has a dwelling policy DPA3 for his rental property in Maryland. After a storm, he discovers that the roof has been damaged and needs repair. What should Mr. Smith do to ensure his loss is covered? A. File a claim under the fair rental value coverage. B. Contact his insurance agent to verify if the damage is covered under the DPA3 policy. C. File a claim with his homeowner's insurance policy if the damage is not covered by the DPA3. D. Immediately seek reimbursement from the local government for storm damage repairs. Correct answer. B. Contact his insurance agent to verify if the damage is covered under the DPA3 policy. Explanation. Under dwelling policy DPA3, which is an open peril policy, damage to the structure of the rental property, including the roof, should generally be covered unless specifically excluded. Mr. Smith should contact his insurance agent to confirm the coverage and file a claim as needed. Fair rental value coverage compensates for loss of rental income, not repair costs. The homeowner's insurance policy typically does not cover rental properties unless specifically endorsed. Seeking reimbursement from the local government is not usually applicable for individual insurance claims. Question 82. In Maryland, which of the following is true about the coverage limits in a personal auto policy PAP for medical payments coverage? Part B. A. Medical payments coverage is limited to injuries sustained only by the named insured while driving. B. Medical payments coverage is secondary to any other health insurance the insured may have. C. Medical payments coverage provides unlimited coverage for all medical expenses incurred by passengers in the insured vehicle. D. Medical payments coverage is not available if the insured has uninsured motorist coverage. Correct answer. B. Medical payments coverage is secondary to any other health insurance the insured may have. Explanation. Medical payments coverage, Part B, in a personal auto policy provides coverage for medical expenses incurred by the named insured and passengers regardless of fault. However, it is secondary to other health insurance coverage that the insured might have, meaning it pays after other health insurance has paid. It does not provide unlimited coverage and is not dependent on whether the insured has uninsured motorist coverage. Question 83. Which of the following is a common exclusion found in a homeowner's insurance policy in Maryland? A. Losses due to wear and tear or mechanical breakdown. B. Damages from fire or lightning. C. Theft of personal property. D. Liability for bodily injury to a guest on the property. Correct answer. A. Losses due to wear and tear or mechanical breakdown. Explanation. Homeowners' insurance policies typically exclude coverage for losses resulting from wear and tear, mechanical breakdowns, or gradual deterioration. These exclusions are meant to prevent coverage for issues that arise from the normal aging of property. Coverage for fire, lightning, theft, and liability for bodily injury are generally included under standard homeowners' insurance policies, provided there are no specific exclusions. Question 84. Scenario: Mrs. Johnson recently purchased an inland marine insurance policy in Maryland to cover her collection of valuable art pieces. A fire at her home caused significant damage to her art collection. What should Mrs. Johnson do to ensure she receives compensation? A. Submit a claim under her homeowner's insurance policy as it covers personal property. B. Contact her inland marine insurance provider to file a claim for the damage to her art collection. C. Seek compensation directly from the fire department for damages caused. D. File a claim under her personal umbrella policy as it covers valuable personal property. Correct answer. B. Contact her inland marine insurance provider to file a claim for the damage to her art collection. Explanation: inland marine insurance is specifically designed to cover valuable personal property, such as art collections, that may not be fully covered under standard homeowners insurance policies. Mrs. Johnson should file a claim with her inland marine insurance provider to address the damage to her art collection. Homeowners insurance may not provide adequate coverage for valuable collections, and the fire department does not provide compensation for personal property damage. The personal umbrella policy typically covers liability and not specific valuable items. Question 85. In Maryland, which of the following statements accurately describes the coverage provided by a personal umbrella policy? A. It provides coverage for damages that exceed the limits of the insured's underlying auto and homeowners policies. B. It offers coverage for damages related to intentional acts committed by the insured. C. It only provides additional coverage for property damage claims and not for personal injury claims. D. It covers all types of liability claims, including those arising from professional activities. Correct answer: A. It provides coverage for damages that exceed the limits of the insured's underlying auto and homeowners policies. Explanation: a personal umbrella policy is designed to provide additional liability coverage above the limits of the insured's underlying auto and homeowners insurance policies. It does not cover damages related to intentional acts, and it does not specifically exclude personal injury claims or cover professional liability. The umbrella policy offers broader protection for various liability claims, including both property damage and personal injury, but does not extend to professional activities unless specifically endorsed. Question 86. Which of the following is a typical feature of the dwelling policy DR3 in Maryland? A. It covers damage to the dwelling on an actual cash value basis. B. It provides open peril coverage for the dwelling and other structures. C. It excludes coverage for loss of rental income from the property. D. It includes personal property coverages, a standard part of the policy. Correct answer: B. It provides open peril coverage for the dwelling and other structures. Explanation: the dwelling policy DPA 3, also known as the special form, provides open peril coverage for the dwelling and other structures, meaning it covers risks unless they are specifically excluded in the policy. Unlike DPA 1 and DPA 2, which offer named perils coverage, DPA 3 offers broader protection. It does not cover loss of rental income or include personal property coverages. A standard part of personal property coverage must be added through endorsements. Question 87. Scenario: Mr. Taylor has a homeowner's insurance policy in Maryland with a personal liability limit of $300,000. During a gathering at his home, a guest is injured due to a defect in Mr. Taylor's property. The guest sues for $500,000 in damages. What coverage is available under Mr. Taylor's homeowner's insurance policy? A. Mr. Taylor's homeowner's insurance will cover the entire $500,000 because it includes unlimited liability coverage. B. Mr. Taylor will need to cover the remaining $200,000 out of pocket, as his policy only covers up to $300,000 in personal liability. C. The insurance company will deny the claim since the damages exceed the liability limit. D. Mr. Taylor's policy will pay $300,000 and the remaining amount will be covered by his personal umbrella policy. Correct answer: B. Mr. Taylor will need to cover the remaining $200,000 out of pocket, as his policy only covers up to $300,000 in personal liability. Explanation: a homeowner's insurance policy in Maryland typically provides liability coverage up to the policy limit stated, which in Mr. Taylor's case is $300,000. Since the damages claimed exceed this amount, Mr. Taylor would be responsible for the additional $200,000. If Mr. Taylor had a personal umbrella policy, it could provide additional coverage beyond the $300,000 limit of his homeowner's insurance, but this is not specified in the question. Question 88. Which of the following statements accurately describes the coverage for personal property under a HO3 homeowners policy in Maryland? A. Personal property is covered on a named perils basis, excluding all risks not specifically listed. B. Personal property is covered on an open perils basis, providing coverage for all risks unless specifically excluded. C. Personal property coverage is included as a separate endorsement and requires additional premium. D. Personal property is covered only while it is located within the primary residence and not while in transit. Correct answer. B. Personal property is covered on an open perils basis, providing coverage for all risks unless specifically excluded. Explanation. An HO3 homeowners policy, also known as the special form, provides open perils coverage for the dwelling and other structures, and personal property is also covered on an open perils basis. This means that personal property is protected against all risks of direct physical loss or damage except for those specifically excluded in the policy. Unlike named perils coverage, which only covers risks that are explicitly listed, open perils coverage offers broader protection. Question 89. What is the primary purpose of a personal liability umbrella policy in Maryland? A. To provide coverage for high-value personal property not covered by standard policies. B. To increase coverage limits on underlying policies and offer additional protection for a broad range of liabilities. C. To cover losses from professional errors or omissions. D. To cover flood damage that is not included in standard homeowners policies. Correct answer. B. To increase coverage limits on underlying policies and offer additional protection for a broad range of liabilities. Explanation. A personal liability umbrella policy is designed to extend the liability coverage limits of underlying policies such as auto and homeowners insurance and provide additional protection against a wide range of liability claims. It is not intended for covering high-value personal property, professional errors, or flood damage. The umbrella policy offers extra coverage beyond the limits of existing policies and can cover a broader spectrum of liability risks. Question 90. Scenario MS. Cluck, a resident of Maryland, has a dwelling policy DEPA 2. A fire causes damage to her rental property and she loses rental income for 2 months while repairs are being made. What coverage is available for the loss of rental income? A. The DEPA 2 policy does not cover loss of rental income MS. Cluck will need a separate policy for this coverage. B. The DEPA 2 policy covers loss of rental income as an additional living expense under coverage E. C. The DEPA 2 policy includes fair rental value coverage under coverage D, which compensates for lost rental income. D. The DEPA 2 policy only covers rental income loss if the property was rented to a relative. Correct answer. C. The DEPA 2 policy includes fair rental value coverage under coverage D, which compensates for lost rental income. Explanation. The dwelling policy DEPA 2 includes fair rental value coverage under coverage D, which compensates for loss of rental income when the property becomes uninhabitable due to a covered peril. This coverage provides compensation for rental income that is lost while the property is being repaired or replaced. It is important for landlords to ensure they have adequate coverage for rental income in case of property damage.